Welcome back to Pokemon Shield! The last match, the finals, not even the finals, the championship match, is ahead of us. We've done everything, we've even saved the world. Heck, we've even got an Elder God in our party now. So all we gotta do is go beat up Leon and we've achieved our dreams.
Shouldn't be a problem.
Hopefully. The neat thing is in showing the growth over the course of this. We saw that Leon lost. Admittedly, he wasn't trying to win. He was trying to catch.
Eternius.
Eternius. And Eternius said, "Nah." Hey. Is this lady friggin' swooning?
I think so. Also, I wanted to point out that I think the reason that
I'm so happy Team Yell's back here, though.
Even
at this point, like, it doesn't even matter. Marnie and everybody's out of this, not anything anymore. And Team Yell's still here, like, yeah! Do it!
I think the reason Zekion and Zamazenta were in the stone was a reference to Arthurian legend where he's the king sleeping under the mountain, waiting to rise up to protect Britain once more when it has its darkest day. Which kind of makes sense from that whole thing, considering they're supposed to be, like, Arthurian stuff. Like, basically, Zekion is Excalibur. Don't know if he has a famous shield. I'm not up on Arthurian legend that much.
I don't know about this new era thing. I'm gonna start, like... Man, you're the same ball guy.
Yeah, why would he be different?
I mean, I guess I mean, like, I've been here for quite some time, and he's still saying the same thing, despite what I and the region at this point has been through, and he's still like, hey, you know about them dream balls?
Well, it's because he's an NPC that gives an item. They don't usually change out their dialogue.
I feel like he should, like, give out a new item or something.
Yeah, you think, but that's what you get for being a thinking bitch.
So, Leon, despite the fact that we did what Leon couldn't, we showed that we were capable of doing something he wasn't, which, as far as that whole, like, rising to the challenge, becoming the hero thing, we've kind of stepped past Leon there. But we gotta prove it. Now, in typical fashion, Leon is not to be hecked with. Like, generally the champion in each region, across, like, all Pokemon games, none of them are slouches. Hard-pressed to think of one that didn't even friggin' cheat outright.
Lance. He had a couple.
I guess.
He had a couple Pokemon that had illegal moves on them at the time.
Shouldn't I get changed or something?
I think you'll change once you get on the pitch.
I'm just gonna walk out like this. Can I just go out like this? It's not gonna feel right if I don't go out without my hat. But yeah, Leon here is not actually hecking around, and his team is actually higher level than our team. Like, we could have a genuinely rough time here. I never bought more potions.
You can just leave and buy more.
And we're back with 10 more potions.
Sorry, 11.
But yeah, this is going to be potentially a rough fight. So we're going to see what happens. I'm going to cross our fingers and probably just get murdered outright. And then I go jam a bunch of candies down their throat.
Oh, you have to register at the desk first.
Dang it, why do they let me in here?
Because you're a challenger, I guess. Never even thought of that. It's like, maybe you should register at the desk. All right.
Why do I have to register? I've never had to register before. Like, I had to register once before. Why do I have to do it now?
Well, technically because the championship battle was, like, postponed because the Galar region was ending.
So I'm... Oh, wow, and they take me straight out here.
Let's go, Tofu.
Yeah!
Let's go, Tofu. Oh, sorry, I'm just getting the snack. Let's go, Tofu.
Do I get your cape if I win? I almost wonder why his matches are always sold out. Like, everybody knows he's just gonna destroy his opponent.
Yeah,
You're not watching for a good match. You're watching to see him murder someone.
he's the champion. But this time he's watching somebody who actually outpaced him at some point, so... They're definitely excited to see someone who has the potential of beating the champion.
I think this is neat because he says straight up that everyone knows we did the thing. So, like, we are a hero. The world knows what we did.
Are we gonna get headhunters after us? Legendary Pokemon headhunters. I mean, you say that, but...
Yeah, I mean, also I may... Well, I mean, we got this far before and we're interrupted. I gotta hear that music start or I don't believe it. And I guess we're starting.
Leon's uniform number is 1, making him the only NPC with the uniform number not using all 3 available digits.
Oh man, the crowd's already going. Okay, I'm gonna Dynamax right from the start.
Leon's champion logo is only displayed when the player enters the center of the Winden Stadium before the actual battle with Leon. When the player enters the area before the match that Rose soon interrupts, the regular Wyndham Stadium logo is displayed instead.
Okay, so the first thing he sends out is pretty much always Aegislash, which is Steel Ghost. So our best bet here is I'm not necessarily strong against Ghost, I am strong against Steel with Cream, so I'm going to go that and I'm going to fire.
Hopefully.
And I feel like I shouldn't hold back and just hit it with Pyro Ball because it's got a level on me.
Oh, it must use King's Shield. Oh, good. It was doing an attack move.
Oh, thank heavens.
Leon failed Opal's audition, getting only 1 out of 3 answers correct. Opal's notes on Leon are, "Your talent in Pokemon battles is beyond anything I've ever seen, but you're rather hard to read."
I'm going to be counting on the levels we get through the course of this.
Also, Leon's name is derived from Dandelion.
Haxorus. Haxorus is pure dragon.
Pure dragon.
And
So-
I think the one we ended up on
you've
was
got Ice-
Mima.
You got Ice, Dragon, or Fairy. But I think Meba would be best.
Yeah, like technically I could send out Robin, who does Null Dragon, and then hit it with Fairy.
But I also do have Bulbapedia open, so...
But Mima at least takes neutral damage and can hit it with Ice. So we get that, and Mima has a better chance of outspeeding it. Like, if we send out Robin, it's gonna get an attack off, and I'm sure it's got more than just a dragon move to use.
It's got a Poison and Steel and an Earth and a Ground move, so yeah. He's a champion.
Oh, and Steel would be really good against Robin, too.
I mean, Steel would be good against Mima, so... Does that think? Ice is weak to Steel? I don't know. Ever since people pointed out that I can't get Ground Steel... Ice right. I can't.
Yes, we are weak to steel, so, you know, that's cool.
Uh.
Well, hopefully we can outspeed it then, so I'm going to hit it with Ice Beam and hope for the best.
These 3 levels might make a difference, but... Oh,
Yeah! Frostlass is fast. Not the fastest Pokemon out there, but it's fast, and I've got maxed speed EVs, so we're even better off.
alright, what's he throwing at next?
I'm really surprised I've been able to one-shot those two.
Haxorus is not very defensive, and Aegislash is actually very defensive, but if it's switching... Oh, here's
Okay,
the trouble.
Dragapult. Dragapult is one of his trickier type combinations for us. It is Dragon Ghost, and I think our solution was to send out Cream and use Steel type moves.
Yeah, just Iron Head.
Because we don't have anything that isn't. We don't have anything that's unambiguously strong against it. Robin nulls Dragon, but is then weak to Ghost. Like,
We have...
Cream, Mistral, and Remedy are the only 3 that just can't get wrecked, and none of them have a same type attack move that they can use. So we just have to go with something that's neutral against and use something that's neutral.
I mean, we mostly have it under wraps. It's just that he also has a lot of move coverage for himself, so...
Yeah, like, if we want to hit it with Ice, that's Mima, who's weak to Ghost. If we want to hit it with Ghost, that's Mimo, who's weak to Ghost. Want to hit it with Dragon, that's Ribbon, who's weak to Dragon.
Yeah.
Dark is... Who has Dark?
Mistral.
Mistral?
Yeah. It's effective against the Ghost, but he also has Flamethrower to cover that.
Yeah, and Flamethrower will just destroy that. And then Fairy is Robin, but Robin is weak to Ghost.
Yeah.
So... we're just going Iron Head and hoping for the best.
We outspeed, that's good.
Okay.
Now we'll see how Shadow Ball does.
Ow!
Okay, it's not half, but you don't know what the roll was on that. Is that a high?
It could go 180. Yeah. Well, I'll try again, and hopefully we have like an HP left.
Because there's a lot that goes into the calculations of the moves here, and sometimes they have a high roll or a low roll, so you don't know if you're going to get that lucky or not.
Oh yeah! No, don't cry, Cream. I got you.
I would honestly go for the headbutt. Because he's probably going to heal himself.
I mean, we can outspeed it, so we can just finish it off.
Because he might heal at this range. So you get a free hit in, and then you can just heal on the next one.
I don't think we need Cream for the rest of this either.
His Pokemon, but we'll see.
Court Chain.
That is going to be really good for, like, competitive stuff, but not really for a 1v1 kind of thing here.
Inteleon!
Yeah, I would...
Remember how he took the 3rd starter?
Yeah, I love this so much. The 3rd starter...
I love it!
The 3rd starter gets left out, and he takes it, and he trains it to be on his championship team.
Okay, so it's water type. So what's good against water? Grass.
Ironic.
I love this, though! Like, it's still there! It's still living its best life!
Luckily, it has nothing to really cover grass-type moves. Grass-type Pokemon, at least. Rather strange.
So that little Sobble all grown up.
It's a secret agent man now.
Oh, okay. Ooh, do I wanna...
It's the championship.
Like, I kind of want to Power Whip it and hope?
It's the championship. Risk it, risk it, risk it, risk it.
But it's 85?
Risk it, risk it,
I want to high jump kick it. How does this thing feel about fighting?
Against water? feel like water's
neutral.
Is
I
it
kind of
neutral?
want to do it, but I shouldn't.
Well, I mean, your choices are is you either miss with Power Whip,
It's faster than me.
is either you miss with Power Whip or you miss with
Yeah,
High
I'm
Jump
so
Kick, which High Jump Kick probably would have killed you.
Yeah!
Alright, should be one more Pokemon after that, and
Okay, its next Pokemon, it actually changes out depending on which starter it has for type coverage. So, like, there's no reason to have 2 water types, say. So, had he taken Cinderace, he would be sending out Seismitoad. Had he taken Rillaboom, he would be now sending out Rhyperior. Since he has Inteleon, I forget who I'm sending out for this.
I think we agreed on Cream, but
Cream would be a good one.
I'm checking what weaknesses this thing has.
Oh, Mima would be good too.
Honestly, Remedy wouldn't be too bad, but
Nah, Remedy's.
yeah.
I'm gonna send out Mima.
Well, I'm just saying Remedy just because Remedy hasn't shown up in a championship match yet.
Well, yeah, but Remedy would hurt.
Yeah. Also, it's a Mr. Rhyme, which is the evolved form of Galarian Mr. Mime.
Yeah, you know, the thing that chased us down just outside of town.
Just to show us its tap dancing moves.
Mr. Rhyme, who is Ice Psychic, and Ghost is good against that. Mima resists Ice and is neutral to Psychic, so Ghost it is. This is best Mima. Oh, not quite. It still gets a turn off. Oh, and that was a crit, too.
Oh, yeah, it's very specially defensive. Oh no, it's confused you. Who'd have thought the tap dancing Pokemon would know tap dancing moves?
Dang it. Well, look, just like hit it with this. Just hit it. Hit it. Hit it. Yes!
Chewy. Leon is now down to his last Pokemon, but we all know what that Pokemon is.
And this is going well so far, despite the fact that we're way below his level. Mostly because we're using type advantage to our advantage. So that's cool. And also, you know, max EVs.
I mean, that probably helps.
I should say perfect EVs. You can max your EVs and have them be garbage. And Charizard. And so the best thing I've got against Charizard is honestly Ribbon.
Yep.
Because Charizard is fire flying. It is weak to water, electric, and double weak to rock. I don't have rock and I don't have electric, but I do have water. And Ribbon resists fire.
I mean, I'm going to point out he meant quadruple weak, but when he's saying weak, it means it's a 2 times weakness anyway, so he's 2 times the 2 times.
Like, it takes 4 times damage, but I say double because it's like...
Yeah, it's already a double weakness there.
Like, it's double because it's a weakness stacked on top of another weakness.
I know, but pedantic on the internet and whatnot.
Like,
Anyway,
it's not... I'm not saying it's taking double damage, I'm saying it's double weak.
Anyway,
It takes 4 times damage,
it's
which I don't have. But I
It's-
should,
yeah,
I should Dynamax because you know he's gonna.
it's time to Dynamax because he will immediately Gigantamax his Pokemon.
And as we saw in the intro, not just a Dynamax.
Is a Gigantamax. He also one-hands it.
He like overhands it though, like he's throwing a friggin' baseball.
Kind of looked like he shot.
A lot of people kind of like lob it up there.
More like he shot
We
footed,
do.
where he just like.
No, we double overhand.
No, I was saying Leon looked like he shot put his, like where he just.
Yeah, shot put. That's what it is. Okay, not too bad. I can take that.
I mean,
I can take that.
it's pretty defensive.
And that's the move you chose, too, which means that we didn't trick you. Which means that's the best you got!
Oh wow, Max Geyser did a lot.
That didn't do nearly as much as I thought it was going to do. I mean, we don't have stab or anything.
He's got 6 levels off half his health.
Yeah, he also has 6 levels on us, so there's that. Let's go again! That's the best you got! You ain't got nothing!
A boo! And a crit to win it.
Just to put that nail in the coffin. And we did it! We beat Leon!
And Ribbon finally hit level 60.
Yeah, the whole team is level 60. Man, I friggin' knew Ribbon would hold us out in the end. And I love that for Leon. That, like, he took it hard because, like, he's never lost before. Like, but he still loved it. He loved the fight. He loved everything that's going on, and he's still excited for us. Like, you think he's gonna take it bad, but, like...
Well, he always knew as a champion that he could have been taken out. It's just that it's been a long time since somebody even got close.
Yeah, and that's one of the good things about Leon. I love his character. Because he doesn't have that arrogance. That, like, no, I can't be beaten. I've never been beaten. It's like he's waiting. He's been waiting for the person who can beat him.
I did also like looking on Leon's page where they have a subsection for champions. And they have all the champions marked there. And at the very edge of the core series champion list, at the very end it says
Oh, Mom's there!
at the and your Munchlax too. And at the very end of the list it says all player characters. Because yeah, all player characters become the champion in the core series.
Yeah. That expression tells me that we really don't understand what we just accomplished.
Even Beats,
Friggin' Beats just, they're like, I can't believe this piece of crap.
So they got the champion. Really? They're the champion?
Yeah, dang it.
A legend is born.
That expression honestly says that we really don't grasp what we just did.
Oh, I shouldn't have had those edibles before I came out here.
Oh, my eye.
Ah, it's just...
I was standing too close to that one.
That's it. That's the end of the main story.
Yeah, we did it. That's the game. Got the end credits and everything.
They got a band out there
On a
selling.
friggin' band playing.
Yep, band of Pokemon. Alright. Let's get you out.
Okay, so there is still post-game. There's, in fact, an amount more in post-game than there usually is in a Pokemon game.
Yeah, we could probably get a couple more videos out of it.
Like, usually post-game amounts to, like, hey, we unlocked this area where you can go grind to really high levels for competitive reasons, and maybe we'll put a fancy enemy at the end of it or something. But, like, no, there's actually a post-game, proper story and everything. There's also Battle Tower, which I don't know how much I'm going to be dabbling in, but we can show off all of that once we get there.
Alright, so it's time. You have to go first, since you're going to be the longest-winded one of the two of us. Final thoughts
Okay,
here.
yeah, final thoughts on the game as a whole. I can tell that the game wasn't as great as a lot of people were hoping it would be. I can see where they're coming from, but I do feel like the absolute hatred, the vitriol that comes out of people for this game is completely unwarranted. And that, honest to goodness, just sounds like entitled gamer talk. But that's the kind of thing that you get in larger franchises. Something like Pokemon is so huge, so immensely huge, that I feel like it doesn't matter what they do, they're going to disappoint a lot of people. Because you can't please a fan base that big all at once. And because the fan base is that big, they're going to have much stricter expectations. So it's going to be even harder to please them just in that vein. So, but that said, I can understand why some people were disappointed, let's say. Personally, I had a great time. I enjoyed this game, despite some shortcomings here and there. I think the Dynamax raids, I love to death, except the 5-star ones. The 5-star ones can go, jump off a cliff. But I really love the Dynamax raids. They give you something to kind of grind if you just want to play the game. They give you a bunch of neat rewards for it. They let you catch a bunch of Pokemon that way. And let me tell you, catching a Pokemon, dealing with the friggin' Pokeball dancing around 3 times, trying to get it down to 1 HP and then killing it by accident, that's friggin' irritating. I have caught 0 Pokemon off-screen, normally. Every Pokemon I've caught off-screen, I caught through Dynamax dens. I think the wild area is super cool. I think it would have been even cooler if it were maybe expanded upon. Instead of make it feel like the routes, because keep the routes, but maybe make the routes feel like a more natural extension of the wild area. Like, instead of there's 2 doors in and out of the wild area, and those are into towns, make the routes go in and out of the wild area. So it feels like this one big cohesive area. I think that'd be cool. I think as far as potential... Wow, all the friggin' logos.
Yeah. Work on them, you gotta see them.
Yeah, I think, and the Wooloo.
It's just a wave of Wooloo. Man.
Yeah, so I love the wild area. I feel like maybe a little bit more could have been done with it, but I loved the wild area. I love the Dynamax raids. I love Dynamaxing. I think it's super cool. And some people are kind of disappointed with Dynamaxing because they feel like it's not something that's going to stick around. It's just like this one generation's thing. And I'm fine with that, because when a game has been going on for
championship team.
Yeah, this is our new title screen. Once you beat the game, this is where your championship team shows up. This is not your current team. This is who you beat the champion with.
And also, if you keep doing the championship title matches in the post game, they keep changing the team as well.
I'm not going to bother with that, though. I want to keep this team going. They earned it.
Anyway.
They worked hard for this.
Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway. On one hand, I can understand that kind of disappointment disappointment because I feel like what people want is something to mix up the formula. Because Pokemon battles have been Pokemon battles forever and ever and ever. They want something that's new and exciting to add to it. And occasionally you get something like that, like a new type added. So they see Dynamaxing and go, we know it's not going to be that when that's what we want. And I can understand that disappointment, but also when a series goes on for as long as Pokemon has been going on, you can't just keep adding complexity to it. Or the whole system becomes unwieldy. And then you end up having to start culling things just to have a functional system. So what they're doing is they have this gimmick because it keeps this game fresh. It keeps this generation fresh. And I can go in understanding that that's necessary and enjoy it for what it is. Maybe there won't be Dynamaxing in the next generation, but for everything that's going on in this, I can enjoy it. Honestly, just like I could pick up any game and enjoy it. You can play any game, have fun with it, and that game doesn't have to be forever. But Dynamaxing was cool. I love the personality in all the gym leaders. I love how they got fleshed out a little bit more so you learn more about it. I love that they came back for the finals in the end. I liked friggin' Eternius. The eldritch beast that he is. That horrifying thing. Even the legendary Pokemon, the Sword and Shield, I think they had pretty cool designs. I think it was a little more traditional, just kind of being big old dogs, Shield Dog, Sword Dog. But I feel like that kind of works with the more... What's the word? Medieval-like... I had the second word, and then I forgot it when I figured out the first word. I had to trade one for the other. Mythology.
Symbolism, whatever.
I feel like it works with that. Like, something really out there and, like, stupidly weird and otherworldly, it just wouldn't have fit. I think it worked real well. I love how fleshed out the world is, with all the different jobs and all the different friggin' symbols and branding. The friggin' fights in the gyms were amazing. That's the best friggin' music I've heard in any Pokemon game. Like, there's, honest to goodness, just so much to love. They added so many new Pokemon, too. And, like, every one of them is super cool. And that's why it was so hard for me to decide on what team I wanted. And some of that's also that I haven't played a Pokemon game in a while, so I've missed out on generations of new Pokemon. So I've got even more. Like, Frostlass isn't new, but I love Frostlass. Vespiquen isn't new. Serena isn't new, but I've never had the chance to play a Pokemon game with them before, and it was so much fun being able to draw on that and play with all of these that I missed out on. But then, like, there's still so many cool new ones. Like Hat Mom. And UFO Bug.
And what was that one? Fire Bunny.
And Fire Bunny. There's so many cool Pokemon. So many cool Pokemon. And the Gigantamaxing was cool. Just adding that little bit extra to, like, okay, yeah, Dynamaxing, we've seen that. But then you see somebody Gigantamax and you're like, oh, this is different. This is something to be wary of. The game isn't perfect, though. I can talk about how much I love about this game all day. But the game isn't perfect. There are just... I feel like the couple issues that I had with it were... I like starting small. I liked TRs being introduced, but there's no consistent way to get them other than just, like, checking outside and checking the Watt trainers and doing Dynamax raids, which isn't that bad. But if you're trying to build a specific team, especially once you get to playing competitively, you need specific moves. And when you just have to go out and check everything and then go, well, that's it for today, got to check back tomorrow in order to get my moves so I can build my competitive Pokemon, that's a little irritating. But I guess that's where you can also just time travel. So there's that. There's a lot of the NPCs look the same. Would have been nice if there was a little more variety so we didn't keep seeing like the same 4 guys walking around. The plot as a whole felt a little not as fleshed out as it could have been. I feel like in broad strokes, the plot was super cool, and I liked it. But I feel like in execution, it could have been fleshed out a little better. Just changing little details here and there, a cutscene here and there, a little bit of dialogue here and there. And I feel like that's the kind of thing where you mentioned before that the game was perhaps rushed a little bit. And I feel like that's something that they could have hammered out. If they'd had a little bit more time, it feels like they had their idea and they kind of had to rush their plot out. And if they'd had that little bit more time, they would have been able to do it. Now, I am a proponent, 110%, of game critique. Good and bad. Don't just look at what is good and bad. Don't just say a game is bad. Look at why it's bad. Look at why it's good, why it's bad. And look beyond that. Okay, we know this is why it's bad. Why does that make it bad? Why was it that was in the game in the first place? Maybe there's a mechanic that was introduced that you think is bad. I don't like this mechanic because it ruins the game because of X reasons. But why was that mechanic added to the game? Think about it. Maybe you don't know. You can't, really. But that's part of game critique, is looking at that and thinking about, well, why was it added? And you may realize that, oh, it was added because it balances this other mechanic. And if that wasn't added, the game would have been even more broken. Now, I will say, that does not excuse things that you think are bad. I can say they rushed the game out, and there's reasons why they had to rush the game out. But that doesn't fix the problems that are in the game. The problems are still there, and you can still play the game, and you will still experience those problems. But it makes us, as a whole, a lot more educated about what goes into games and game design and game development. It makes us seem smarter. And honestly, when you just say, this game is bad because it's bad, not a good look. You don't look smart. But anyway, so that was that. I think the more NPCs was one thing. The plot being fleshed out a little bit more could have been one thing. I had something else.
Story.
Oh. Story. I won't get into specifics about like how I feel like. I mean, I could, but I don't want to be here forever. I won't go into specifics about how I would maybe tweak or refine the story, but it did feel a little rushed. It did feel like maybe an extra line of dialogue here would have helped out. Moving this bit of dialogue from here to here would have helped out. Little changes would have helped out a lot. I think the last thing is people commenting on the game being too easy, and the game is easy. It is. It genuinely is. And while I don't necessarily have a problem with that, I do feel like the game was perhaps a little too easy. I'm alright with the game being easy. It lets me have a good time run through it. It lets any little chillins that are playing the game just have a good time being able to blitz through the game. But again, I do feel like it's maybe a little too easy. And some people could blame the EXP share always being on, but I don't necessarily think that's the problem. Because if you have to turn EXP share off and then forcibly rotate your team, when you have to nurse the experience that you're getting in like that in order to not be too powerful, I feel like that's a band-aid. That's not fixing the problem. I think overall, you just get too much experience from everything. Overall. Because I didn't do anything. I've used very little in the way of candy that I got from all the Dynamax dens that I've been doing. And on one hand, you could say, oh, well, if you have more experience, you'll just blitz through the game faster. You'll just progress faster. Because I have a lot of Dynamax candy. But that's because I was playing the game during my off time, when I wanted to play the game but couldn't progress the story because we have to make videos of it. And what I would have been doing is just progressing the game. But even looking at, had I just been progressing the game instead of doing that, then I would have just been not doing Dynamax dens at all, and I still would have been almost exactly where I am now, difficulty-wise. So, I do feel like you just got too much experience. A little bit of grinding would have been fine. There's like the Versus Seeker. If you get to something, and you let us get to something and not be strong enough to beat it, and let us go have to grind some to get strong enough to do it. Not the friggin' stupid grinding that was in old Pokemon games where you get to the gym leader and he's 10 levels above you, and the only thing you can grind off of is stupid wild Pokemon that are 10 levels below you. Don't give me that crap. But let me get to a gym leader, he kicks my butt, and I go, okay, I need to be stronger for this. And then I can go do some Dynamax dens. I can go use the Versus Seeker to get a little bit more experience to beef myself up. I don't want to kill myself grinding, but it's all right if we're not, like, spoon-fed the experience we need to get to the end of the game. Because when you get to that point, I've felt like I have to be careful about how powerful I am, about how much experience I get. I went out and stayed in a tent because I was trying to raise Za's affection. And I accidentally gave everyone in the party experience, and I was like, oh, whoops. And, like, it shouldn't be that big a deal if I get a little too much experience. Anyway, I don't know how difficult post-game is, but I have so many experience candies, and I kind of just want to force-feed all of them until they're, like, level 90.
Well, level 100 is the cap, so...
I don't know if I have enough candies to get them there. I don't know, I have, like, 40 rare candies.
I mean, rare candy is one per level.
Oh! I love how much more accessible the game made competitive training. EV training, that kind of stuff. Like, I've got all of them with perfect EVs. In any prior Pokemon game, you know how much I would give a crap about having perfect EVs? 0. Because you couldn't tell. You had no idea. Or they would give you some, like, super ambiguous thing, like some NPC you talk to, and they just go, yeah, it's pretty good. Okay, thanks. That doesn't tell me at all where I am.
You don't even have access to the EV IV judge yet, so...
Yeah, like, I love how accessible they made that, though. Like, if not for that, I wouldn't have done what EV training I did. But, like, because it's more accessible, I did, and I love it. Oh, one final note while I remember this. And this is actually my final note, and then I'll be done. I'm sorry. I feel a little bit like... Who even makes this? Is it the Pokemon Company or is it Game Freak?
The Game Freak makes it, but the Pokemon Company is the one that owns Game Freak. It's
Okay, so it's effectively Game Freak.
yeah, it's effectively Game Freak. It's like Nintendo and Game Freak have a share in the Pokemon company.
Okay, so I feel like Game Freak, I'm not sure if they may feel like they're stuck kind of between a rock and a hard place, but I'm not sure if they feel like they're stuck or if they're not sure how to move on. And by a rock and a hard place, I mean Pokemon is an exceptionally nostalgic series. And so there's a lot of pandering to nostalgia that goes on in the Pokemon games. But they also, of course, have to appeal to a new crowd, so it can't just be 100% nostalgia. But then the question is always like, well, how much do we do? How much of the old do we keep? And how much new do we add? And I feel like there's some things that if they were making this game fresh today, there's some things that they would not do. Think about it this way. Type charts. You know what's effective against what? You know how you tell what's effective against what? You Google a type chart. But Pokemon's just been around so long, and it's such common information to have that you don't even think about the fact that nowhere in the game is any of that information accessible. If you wanted to play this game with no prior knowledge, without any external input, any external help, you would legitimately have to, like, just fight everything with everything and make notes yourself. And that's super unfriendly. Even as far as, like, the EV and the IV training goes. They don't... If you know what EV training is, if you know what EVs are, if you know what IVs are, if you know what natures do and mean, you can figure all of this out. And it's super accessible when you have that information. But when you don't have that information, all the crap that you find means nothing. What's their nature? What does it do? It means nothing. And that's kind of where I feel like they're stuck between a rock and a hard place. Or maybe they're not sure how to or if they should update to modern times. Because I feel like in a modern day game, they would tell you what these stupid menus mean. They would give you a type chart somewhere. Or something. And that even goes to the NPCs. And how there's only like 4 different NPCs that wander around. If you think about it, old Game Boy games. You know how many different sprites you had for NPCs? Like 4. I could almost see that they just made 3D models of the NPCs of like the sprites that they had in the old games, and they went from there. And like, do you want to go with that old feeling? That simplicity of the older games? Or do you want to update to the times and put in a huge array of varied NPCs, as we would expect? And like, if this weren't Pokemon, if this didn't have a friggin' 500-year heritage going into this game, they couldn't get away with that. But there's something almost nostalgic about it. That it feels more like a Pokemon game because of it. So, do they want to update to the times, but not know how? Or do they want to hold to nostalgia, but also understand they need to update to the times, and they're not sure where to strike that balance? Food for thought. Anyway, you go ahead and go. I'm done.
Well, my basic point is, I had my doubts about the game before it came out, just because I'm gonna be straightforward with it. It was the Dex calling. Nobody liked that. That was a bad idea on their part. I at least understand some of their reasoning behind it, because it's still going to be an increasing amount of Pokemon for every generation. Like 50 at the least for every generation. And like they're close to 900 already. Like a couple more generations or so, they're gonna have 1,000 of these things to worry about. So I understand their reasoning. I still think it's kind of, pointless. But that's
that's sort
just
of
me on that. And
yeah, and sorry to interject. That's sort of what I mentioned before, where like I can understand why, and I can understand what benefit it would have for the game. It would mix up competitive a little bit, perhaps. It makes it a lot easier on them not to just have to deal with an ever-expanding list and the expectation to continue to work on an infinitely expanding list. Like, I get that, and I understand why they did it. It's still a detriment to the game. Go ahead. Sorry.
Anyway, and I think it's being mitigated somewhat by the expansion pass coming out, where they're adding some, at least 100 per Pokemon per expansion. I don't know if that includes new ones or just like just the old ones, and the new ones are a separate count, but it's probably a mix of the both. I mean, that mitigated a lot of it. My other concern for this game was that, and I basically said this before, and I'll say it again, this wasn't a 2019 release. This was a 2020 release. A lot of it needed a little bit more time. I don't know if that would have helped everything completely, but it just felt like it needed more time to...
I wonder if that may have even been part of the reason for the Dex culling.
That might have been. There was... I think it's a lot...
Like, they just hit that point and went, crap, we just don't have the time to do this.
It's probably a lot of it, because let's face it here, you have to balance the old Pokemon with the new ones, especially if you're adding a new gimmick like the Gigantamax stuff. But
yeah, if you don't want to like add 100 new Pokemon and invalidate every previous Pokemon when you do it, you have to keep everything balanced, and that's hard. That's why power creep is a real thing.
That was my major concern with most of it. Most of it, I kind of liked it. I would say a lot of it average. Like, if I had to scale this game, this would be like a 6 or a 7. It'd be like, it's average good. Like my scale works from like 1 is bad, 5 is average, and 10 is like perfect. And this is like, it's pretty okay. Like, could have been better, could have been worse. We'll see if the expansion stuff makes it a little better, but it pretty averaged out. The expansion really helped it average out. Like, hey, I'm getting Zoroark back. I'm good. The rest of you bitches can whine all you want about your lost favorites. Oh no, I don't get this one back. Bitch, mine's back. I'm good.
Yeah, I'd say if 10 is perfect and 1 is like the opposite of perfect, and then 5 is
10 is
not good, not bad.
Yeah, 10 is.
I feel like I can say this is a. I feel like I can say this is a good game. This is flat a good game. I'd say probably I'm like a 7 or 8 maybe. Like, it's not perfect. It's got flaws, but it's a solid good game.
Yeah, the scale is 10 is perfect, 1 is it's going to be on an AVGN episode soon, and 5 is like, it's average. But yeah, no, it's still, it was pretty good. I like the experience of everything. A lot of the NPCs were really a lot better off this time around. The story, while it kind of meandered in the middle, was still pretty good near the end. I like the fact that Team Yell became good guys at the end, or at least on your side at the end.
That was good. I like that.
Despite the fact they were never really an evil team to begin with.
They're just idiots.
Let's see, what else was I gonna say?
That like makes them endearing, though.
Yeah, it makes them a lot more endearing than what Team Skull was.
That like, yeah, they're kind of in the way. They're kind of the bad team, but like they're just that because they're all idiots.
The Battling was kind of fun. A lot of the model problems have mostly been like there since like Gen 6 on the 3DS, so they either need to really outsource that stuff to get better models, or we're just gonna be stuck with what we are. Camping was fun, but you don't really do it a lot after
Yeah, I
so
do like
long.
camping. I feel like I would do it more if I weren't so worried about how much experience I have.
Then, uh, and then there's just the competitive. Like since we're gonna be doing post game soon, we'll be seeing a lot more of what makes competitive a lot easier. But the fact that they're like, yeah, play the game and then get in competitive, you'll be good from there, kind of says a lot of what they wanted this game to be. Especially considering it felt like forever for them just to finally go like, oh, fine, we'll make it easier for you to do competitive stuff. Because they felt so stubborn about the whole thing. It's like, no, no, you really have to work for it. And it's like, fine, here you can make it a little easier in every generation. And this generation's been like, yeah, here's your factory line. Dit, 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 dit. But yeah, other than that, it was pretty okay. I look forward to what the expansions are gonna do, because we're definitely gonna have some fun there. We're gonna meet an old master of Leon, ooh,
Oh boy.
and have fun there. An old master who used to be a previous champion.
Ooh.
Um,
Oh, I didn't talk about camping. Man, camping is great. I
but
actually really like the interactions and playing with all the Pokemon and everything.
yeah, it's a nice.
Like I really like it. My only problem is I like that it gives experience, but I feel like you already get too much experience, so I was always worried to camp. Like I didn't want the experience.
I mean, the only thing I'm dislike about camping over like the Pokemon Refresh or Pokemon Ami was that you don't get to pet the Pokemon. And let's face it, if you can't get a high five from a Growlithe or an Arcanine, it's just not worth it. I say that jokingly, of course, but yeah, pretty much. I liked it. It's not the best Pokemon game. I'm still dying on the hill of Gen 5 being the best one, and the rest of you bitches can bitch at me for that later, but other than that, yeah, pretty okay. I want to see what the expansions do, and Zoroark for life, bitches. I'm out.
All right. Till next time, everybody.